In 1950, the finest cameras on Earth are German. Zeiss Icon, Voigtlander, Leica, jewels assembled slowly by hand. But the company that sells the most is Kodak, which sells simple boxes to people who have never taken a photograph, because the camera is not the product. The film is. And in Japan, optical firms are taking those German jewels apart screw by screw, asking a colder question. Not how good can a camera be, how many can you build? Nikon answers with the F. Not prettier than a Leica, but tougher and cheaper, and it survives mud, frost, and gunfire. So war photographers carry it into Vietnam, and NASA straps it into orbit. Germany built the finest cameras ever made, and loses anyway to factories that simply build more. Then Kodak drops the INSTAMATIC. No threading, no ruined rolls, push the cartridge until it clicks. 50 million sell in 7 years, and everyone eats Kodak film for a decade. A Hasselblad rides to the moon. The body's left up there to save weight. Only the film magazine's coming home. Kodak film. Down on Earth, the machine is flawless. Kodak owns the film, the paper, the chemistry, the labs, the yellow box in every shop on the planet. And Polaroid ships the SX70, a camera that hands you a photograph developing in your palm while you stand there watching. For one shining decade, Polaroid gets to be magic. In a back lab in Rochester, a 24-year-old Kodak engineer named Steven Sasson wires together a camera from spare parts. It weighs 8 pounds, records to cassette tape, and needs 23 seconds for one grainy image. It is the first digital camera ever built. Management's reaction becomes famous inside the company. That is cute. Do not tell anyone about it. Kodak patents it in 1978, then puts it in a drawer because Kodak sells film. The volume era arrives. Cameras turn plastic automatic, cheap enough to buy without thinking. Canon's AE1, the first SLR with a microprocessor inside, passes 1 million units. Behind the Iron Curtain, the Zenit pours out of a factory near Moscow by the million. And Kodak holds 90% of American film sales. It is not competing in the market. It is the market. Minolta's Maxim 7000 is the first autofocus SLR that genuinely works, and within 3 years, every rival has copied it. Fujifilm asks a stranger question. What if the camera itself is disposable? The quick snap is cardboard, ships with film already inside, and gets handed back whole across the counter. One for the beach, one for the wedding, one lost in the glove box for a year. People buy them by the hundreds of millions because convenience beats quality every single time. Humanity now shoots more film than at any point in history. Weddings, birthdays, holidays, every memory developed in a lab and printed twice so your mother gets a copy. Kodak's factories in Rochester coat film day and night and struggle to keep up. This is film's ceiling, and nobody inside the industry can see it, because a ceiling only becomes visible from below, on the way back down. Casio bolts a small screen onto the back of a camera. The QV10 takes objectively poor pictures, and it changes everything anyway, because for the first time in a century and a half of photography, you can see the picture the instant you take it, and you can delete it. Photography stops being precious. Nikon's D1 makes digital good enough for newspapers. It costs $5,500. The picture desks buy it in bulk anyway, and they quietly stop ordering film. A year later in Japan, Sharp squeezes a camera into a mobile phone. 1/10 of a megapixel, a curiosity, barely a camera at all. Not one executive in this industry loses a minute of sleep over it. In 2002, digital outsells film for the first time, and the handover took barely 10 years. The winners are the Japanese giants who spent 50 years learning to build electronics at scale. Then, in January 2007, Steve Jobs walks onto a stage in San Francisco and announces the iPhone. There is no camera manufacturer in the room. The camera in it is bad. It does not matter. It is the one already in your pocket. In 2010, the industry ships 121 million cameras, the most in history. It is the last good year. The numbers do not decline, they fall off a cliff. And in January 2012, Kodak files for bankruptcy. The company that invented the digital camera patented it and locked it in a drawer to protect film. The drawer did not hold. Sony packs a full-frame sensor into the small mirrorless A7, and it takes Canon and Nikon 5 full years to answer it. But everyone is now fighting over a shrinking room. Compact cameras are down 90% from the peak. Phones now take more photographs every 2 minutes than the entire 19th century managed in total, because the phone never beat the camera on quality. It beat it on being there. Olympus walks away after 84 years. The old camera makers collapse together, and the survivors sell far fewer cameras at far higher prices to people who still choose to carry one. But the camera itself does not die. It shrinks to the size of a thumb, rides in a pocket, straps onto a drone. And by 2025, the company selling the most cameras on Earth is DJI, which did not exist when film was king. 76 years, and the machine that started all of this was built in Kodak's own laboratory in 1975 and locked in a drawer.